My name is Rich Butkus III, president of Survair. We use drones and other survey equipment to perform land surveys, carry out inspection projects, and really try and be all for any type of consultation for engineering, land surveying, or anything in that field. Typically, we're working mostly with land surveyors, engineers, architects, anyone that's building, designing, or renovating. We're typically helping out with the project. So the project that we were working on today, it was a park setting, so it was mostly vegetated, some open areas with grass. There was some asphalt paths going through it, and the main thing that's going on there is some redevelopment. They're going to be using the survey plans that we're creating in order to plan out their efforts for adding onto the park, renovating certain areas, and being able to make it a better space for the public. We specifically chose the Zenmuse L3 sensor for this project, mainly because of the large wooded areas of the site, especially where we are up north. We have leaf on condition and leaf off condition. With right now being in the middle of the summer, leaves are completely on the trees. It can be a lot more difficult to see the ground and bare earth underneath that thick canopy. Before we even go out into the field, we'll plan out our mission. We can do that either on DJI Pilot 2 on the controller or on the computer with DJI FlightHub 2. Using FlightHub 2, it's great. With all the pilots that we have throughout the company, we're able to create a centralized mission plan, which any of our pilots can go into. They can download it to their controller, execute the mission, and they don't have to be messing around with the different settings and tweaking things while they're out in the field. For setting up all of our flights we are operating on today, we had to really think about the site being a lot of foliage versus no foliage. It has some hardscape features and a lot of softscape features. Some things that we took into account were the speed that we were flying at, which we aimed for 7 to 9 miles an hour. So the slower that you're going, the more density you'll be getting in that point cloud later on. This makes it a lot easier for us to pick out the smaller details like edge of sidewalk or top and bottom of curb and that type of stuff. Besides that, the height that we're flying at is also a factor of how much density and how many points will be in our end point cloud. So we ended up flying this one at 200 feet above ground level. This is typically a good spot for these types of projects because it gives us enough density, but it also doesn't take a significant amount of time to carry out the entire mission. A big factor that we're always thinking about for all of our projects is the density of the point cloud that's going to be generated later on. Either in DJI FlightHub 2 or DJI Pilot 2 on the controller, it will tell you in the mission settings what the estimated point cloud density will be. Now that's going to be the overall point cloud density, and it's not going to be the actual ground underneath the tree canopy. So a good rule of thumb, at least in the area that we're in, is we'll take about 1/20th of that point cloud density, and that is our ground density will be through the canopy. A lot of the landscape that we work on is very hilly and undulous and goes up and down. So by turning on terrain follow, what it's doing is using a DSM or digital surface model in order to estimate the terrain underneath where the drone is. That way, no matter where you are, you're always going to be an even altitude above ground level at any time. There's also real-time terrain follow, which is basically where the M400 is using sensors to follow the terrain in real time. Before starting our flight, first thing that we're doing when we get out to a site is set all of our ground control points. We'll do a round when we first get to the site. Shoot them all a 60-second observation with 2 observations. Right now we have our first ground control point set up on a 16-inch square vinyl target. We're going to be setting about 7 to 9 of these throughout the site, depending on terrain and accessibility and that type of thing. It's not just ground control points though, we're also getting check shots on top of this. So these are points that are not being used in the processing, but we're able to use them to validate all the information afterwards. One of the most important things too is setting a known point for our D-RTK 3 base station. We can use this information to either input those coordinates into the controller and improve the accuracy of our data set that way, or we can do it in post where we use DJI Terra to adjust those known coordinates. Personally, for our team, we typically take the known point, do all those network adjustments and everything afterwards. So we're typically not going to be adding it into the controller before doing the flight. That's something that we're doing in post. It helps save time in the field and increase accuracy for our end result. If you wanted to input those known coordinates prior to doing your flight, all you need to do is go into the DJI Pilot 2 app, go into your base station settings, and you can manually adjust the coordinates of the base station's location. You're going to want to make sure that you go into your RTK settings, check your standard deviation, make sure you have enough satellites, a good fix, and everything is looking clean and no issues. Now that we can download our mission from FlightHub 2 to Pilot 2 and get the mission started. While we're looking at the L3 and executing its mission, you can hit R2 on the controller. It'll take you into a reconstruction of the 3D point cloud, which you can move around. You can actually see the drone flying through the point cloud as it's going. So one thing this is useful for is a quick pre-check before you're done with your mission to make sure you captured everything that you need, you're getting enough coverage along the boundary of your site, and you're able to kind of do a quick check before getting back to the office and making sure that the data looks good. Now, once your mission is completed, you can actually check a quality report for the LiDAR data that was collected. You can check your RTK, IMU, and RTB, make sure that you had a complete RTK fix throughout the entire flight. This is huge because you never want to get back to the office, find out that your data was wrong or incorrect, and need to remobilize and come back to the site. So being able to see this up front as soon as your mission is done is extremely helpful. Now that our flight is done, our mission is completed, took a bunch of site photos and everything that we need for this project, we're going to locate our ground control points a second time. Big reason for this is in the beginning of the project, when we get out here in the morning, the satellites are in one position, and once the flight is done and we're locating them a second time, now the satellites are in a different position, and now we're able to take the average of all of these points that we're locating and create a more accurate information that we can be feeding into Terra to process all of this information later on. Now we're done with our flight. We've collected all the information and data that we need. We can power down our D-RTK3 base station, any other equipment that we have, get it all packed up, and head back to the office where we can download, transfer all of our data, and continue with the rest of the process. The first thing that we do once we're back at the office is we'll take all the information from our GPS unit for the ground control points, the check shots, any other information that we had to collect out in the field. We'll bring it into our software and perform a network adjustment. There's a lot of larger 1,000-acre projects that we're working on, or it might just be extremely remote and we're not getting good RTK connectivity throughout the entire flight. With that being said, we can also fall back onto a PPK process. So we can take nearby core stations or any other Rhinex data from a static scan or static point that we did with our GPS unit and use that to process the data in lieu of the RTK information. When we start working in DJI Terra, the first thing that we're going to be doing is adjust the known coordinate of our D-RTK3 base station. So we take those GPS coordinates that we located for the base station and we change the base station coordinate settings inside of DJI Terra. Check shots are a big part of our process in verifying and checking the accuracy of all of our data sets. So we're able to take a text file or CSV file, whatever it is, with all of those coordinates, import it into DJI Terra, and use that to not only visually check and see where those points line up with our point cloud, but it also can generate a report and something that lays out the accuracy of the entire data set. In Terra, the main output that it's generating is a 3D point cloud. With this point cloud, you could also run a ground classification. Other than your point cloud output, you also have your 2D map or orthomosaic image. These are extremely high resolution images, which are great for your 2D planimetrics, your drafting, picking everything out that's not surface or 3D information. You have your contours, your digital terrain model or DTM. You can export a tin surface that's generated from the ground classified point cloud. There's a bunch of different outputs and results that really help us get from start to finish on a project. For processing all of this LiDAR data in DJI Terra, it's actually all free. You don't need a license for generating these deliverables or exporting all of these output. Then there's also DJI Modify. This is basically our editing tool. We can take all the deliverables from DJI Terra, bring them into Modify, and use that to modify the point cloud and modify the different features and characteristics of the data sets that we're working on. In Terra, the classification is typically very general. They might not be perfect on the ground or getting a complete picture of the buildings and everything that we need. Another really useful tool or feature in Modify is its ability for ASPRS standard classifications. So besides just the ground and classifying ground, building, and all of that, ASPRS standards, we can take power lines, utility poles, high vegetation, low vegetation, buildings, whatever it is, and classify the point cloud into all those different areas. There are brush tools and the different selection tools where you can pick certain features and reclassify the point cloud. So let's say there's a car that was mistakenly classified as ground. You can actually click one point on that car and it will change the classification of the point cloud in that area to miscellaneous or whatever else we need it to be. So now that we're completed with processing all of our data sets, we actually have the ability in Modify to share these results with our client pretty easily and efficiently. You can actually upload the 3D model directly to a shareable link. So it's something that you can copy and send to somebody. They don't need a large or powerful computer to be able to view this information. It's all done through a web browser link. When we're in the final stages of all of this processing and editing the point clouds, we'll jump into DJI Reality. What this is a visualization platform where we can create videos and fly through of all of the data that we've been working on this entire time. So after we're done registering and generating all this information, our point clouds, whatever else it is, we're able to manually pick out points for things like top and bottom of curb, brake lines, top and bottom of bank, walls, whatever it is that determines the actual ground surface of our site. We can then take all this information, brake lines, points, bring that into CAD. We're also able to take the 2D orthomosaic image as an underlay inside of CAD. We can draft all of our planimetrics, and that's really what finalizes everything and gives us a complete picture of our land survey. It's crazy to think about that 10 years ago, or however long it was, traditional surveying on the ground, if we were doing a 30-acre topographic and location survey, that's going to take a field crew approximately 2 weeks to locate all the topography for that job. With drones, and especially the L3 now, we can get that same amount of field work done in about 2 hours.